Hello, my fellow residents. So lately I've been paying attention to a lot of the comments that have been written on review videos for video games, and I've noticed something that's been happening a lot. There are people out there, a lot of viewers and a lot of people that play video games, that believe that the correlation of quality for a video game is directly related to the cost of a video game. And in some cases, people believe the length of a video game is related to the quality of the game. And guys, I think we need to have a really good discussion about this because I think we're all looking at this the wrong way. You see, if a game is really expensive, it doesn't mean it has to be really good. And if a game is really cheap, it doesn't mean it has to be really bad. But a lot of people out there believe that it certainly is related. And in some cases, maybe I can understand why people might think that because they're spending so much money on a very expensive game, they assume the quality is going to be good. And I can understand if you buy a $10 game from some weird, bin in the middle of some grocery store, you might assume that the game is bad. But that's not always the case. And in fact, I like to think that it actually has nothing to do with one another. The quality of a game is never dictated by the price. And here's why. On Xbox Live, every paying member gets a couple of free games every month. Now these games usually range in a whole bunch of different regards from genre to quality and whatever, but they're always given away for free. And this month, we got Spelunky. Now Spelunky is not even that much of an expensive game when it originally came out. When I first picked it up, I believe it was $20. And there's other games I've bought that are a lot more expensive that have given me far less enjoyment. Spelunky is a really, really fun game. There's so many different aspects to explore, really good art design, and honestly just really fun and addictive gameplay. And that game, to me, is worth $20. If you can go on Xbox Live and download it right now for free, well, then it should be bad. But it's not. It's really, really good. At least I think so. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people don't agree with those terms. If a game is being given away for free, surely it must be bad because it's not worth any money and they just can't make any sales from it. Or in some cases, maybe the game is really, really big and really, really good, so they have to charge a lot of money for it. Like Grand Theft Auto 5. Of course they have to charge $50 or $60 for that game. It's worth the value. But really, what is the subject of value when it comes to these games? Now personally, well, doesn't matter what I pay for a game, whether I got it for free, whether I paid a lot of money for it, the game has to be fun. And that's pretty much why I play video games, for them to be fun, enjoyable. But a lot of people don't seem to kind of agree the same way. Lately, with the whole game review I just did recently on No Man's Sky, well, on No Man's Sky, I kind of didn't enjoy myself, and that game is a very expensive game right now, a brand new title that costs about $60. And I saw a bunch of people in the comments for my review saying that they would wait until the game came to be around $20 or $10 for them to buy it. Now look, in my review, I was very critical of the game, and I basically said I didn't like it, but I noticed some people agreed with me and just said they'd wait for it to get to a lower price. Why? Why would you wait for it to get to a lower price? If I said the game was bad, if you assume the game was bad, if you think the game's going to be bad, why would you wait for the price to go down? Does that make any sense? If you waited for the price to go down on a game that you didn't really want to play and didn't think you were going to enjoy at $60, why would your opinion change if it was $10? See, that's the kind of thing I've been noticing a lot on comments on YouTube, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I just assume that if people wanted to play a good game, regardless of what the price is, well, they would always want to play it no matter what price it may be in the future. I can understand if there's this one really good game out there that's $60 and you don't have the money to pay for it, that you'd wait for the price to come down. That makes sense to me. But because the quality doesn't register $60 in your mind, you wouldn't buy it at $60, well, that's kind of weird, isn't it? And I think we need to change that kind of reasoning, that kind of thought process, because it doesn't really make sense. Now, while we're on the subject of value for games, another thing I want to talk about is people's attention to the amount of time it takes to complete a game and somehow assuming that a game that's really, really long is more valuable than a game that's really, really short. Now let me bring up an example. There's a movie by Andy Warhol called Empire, which is about 8 hours long. And all it is a one-shot shot of the Empire State Building. There's nothing else going on. I've watched like at least 30 minutes of it because I went to film school. I know, I probably should have become a doctor, but really, that's kind of how this thing went. it just kind of played and nothing happened. It's this artistic expression, if you're into that kind of stuff. But the point stands, it's an 8-hour movie. Now, in the terms we've been seeing in video games, people prefer time as the source of value for a video game, so that movie would technically be better than almost any other feature film that has aired this past century, I guess, because a lot of movies are only 3 or 4 hours long at best. So by that logic, if you were to watch all 3 Indiana Jones films, it wouldn't actually match the exact same running time of Empire, which means Empire is the better film, right? Well, if you really like Empire, maybe you'll say Empire, but still, this is what I'm trying to say. We need to reevaluate what we assume value is in video games, because I don't believe it's in the cost, and I don't believe it's in the time that we actually put into these games. There are some really great games out there that don't take very long to complete, but are worth your time and energy. And I think if we do not curve the way that we look at video games and basically just keep saying that these video games are not worth our time because they don't have enough time invested into them, or they're just too expensive, or whatever it is, we're going to start creating this kind of idea that developers are going to start listening to, that their little tiny video game isn't worth our time because it doesn't take 200 hours to complete. One of the reasons I'm even talking about this is because recently when I played No Man's Sky, I felt that it took me way too long to get to any point in the game, and I found the experience largely boring. Now, everyone's going to differ their opinion on this, and some people are going to love that time that they put into that game, and they're going to love the game as well. But for me, I felt like it just took too much time out of my day to play the game and to repeat the same actions that I largely found boring. We can get video games being created right now from really big publishers that they can just make tinier, more fun, interesting experiences without developing thousands of hours of gameplay. Imagine having a brand new Assassin's Creed game that just focused on a 2 or 3 hour story rather than this long, drawn-out, multi-episodic series that really doesn't seem to go anywhere. I think we could have some really fun games if we just followed those principles, and I really hope developers start to listen to this kind of strange idea I have, because if we really start to value video games for everything that isn't gameplay, I think we're doing it wrong.